Let us die for our brethren. That's what you call driven by love. He understood of this great peril that was before him. Everybody was afraid, even including himself. But even in that, he allowed for his love to conquer the situation to where he says, I'm going to fight regardless. Some of us, man, we got to get built. I got to get built up to that point. When you commit fornication, because now you're taking my daughter and you're treating her like a whore. Now other men, they see you treat that girl like a whore, so then now they think it's okay to treat other women, other fathers' daughters, other brothers' sister like a whore. Is that love? No, that's not love.
About the love of my people, the love of my people, my people, my people, my people.
Read.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord of the men of Anathoth, that seek thy life, saying, prophesy not in the name of the Lord.
Prophesy not in the name of the Lord. Read.
That thou die not by our hand.
That you die not by our hands. Because if you keep prophesying, you're going to die by our hands. Read on.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will punish them.
I will do what?
I will punish them.
This is that brazen wall again. Anybody that came up against Jeremiah, you had the one brother that smote him. The Lord said he's going to bring judgment on him. You got these men who were plotting death against Jeremiah. God said he's going to bring judgment on them. Read on.
The young men shall die by the sword.
Read.
Their sons and their daughters shall die by famine.
Their sons and their daughters. The ones that was plotting against Jeremiah, their sons and their daughters. Read on.
And there shall be no remnant of them.
There will be no remnant of them. He's going to get rid of all of them. Read on.
For I will bring evil upon the men of Anathoth, even the year of their visitation.
Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 1 through 3.
Jeremiah chapter 32 and verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord in the 10th year of Zedekiah, king of Judah, which was the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar.
Read on.
Nebuchadnezzar, from the king of Babylon's army besieged Jerusalem.
For then the king of Babylon's army besieged Jerusalem. Read.
And Jeremiah the prophet was shut up in the court of the prison.
He was what?
He was shut up in the court of the prison.
So here we are now. We're in the book of Jeremiah chapter 32. After the siege of Babylon, Jeremiah is in prison. Read on.
Which was in the king of Judah's house.
So he was imprisoned by the king of Judah. Read on.
For Zedekiah, king of Judah, had shut him up, saying, wherefore doest thou prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will give this city into the hand of the king of Babylon.
So why did Zedekiah put Jeremiah in prison? For Zedekiah, verse 3, for Zedekiah, king of Judah, had shut him up, saying, wherefore doest thou prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will give this city into the hand of the king of Babylon and shall take it. So because of Jeremiah prophesying of the evil to come, Zedekiah got upset and he imprisoned Jeremiah. I'm telling you, man, like you got one example of one prophet going through all of this. We ain't been through nothing yet. Right? Jeremiah 37:12.
Jeremiah chapter 37 and verse 12. Then Jeremiah went forth out of Jerusalem to go into the land of Benjamin, to separate himself thence in the midst of the people. And when he was in the gate of Benjamin, a captain of the ward was there, whose name was Erijah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Hananiah. And he took Jeremiah the prophet.
And he took Jeremiah the prophet. Why?
Saying, thou fallest away to the Chaldeans.
You going after the Chaldeans. You supporting them. You always talking about them coming to destroy us. You must have made a league with them. Read on.
Then said Jeremiah, it is false.
That's not the case. Read.
I fall not away to the Chaldeans.
I ain't fall away to the Chaldeans. Read on.
But he hearkened not to him. So Erijah took Jeremiah and brought him to the princes. Wherefore the princes were wroth with Jeremiah and smote him and put him in prison in the house of Jonathan the scribe.
Right. So now, you looking at our forefathers. You look at what Jeremiah went through and how all these great afflictions came his way. And he withstood those things because ultimately he had a purpose. And that was to try to warn the people that judgment was coming. And he tried to the best of his ability to do so, even enduring all of those things that happened against him. That was an opposition against him, right? Let me see something here. Go to Sirach chapter 49 and read verse 6.
Sirach chapter 49 and verse 6. They burnt the chosen city of the sanctuary.
So the other nations, read verse 5.
Verse 5. Therefore he gave their power unto others.
The others here is the Chaldeans. I'm going to have to speed it up a little bit because we have about 40 minutes left. So the others here is referring to the Chaldeans. Read.
And their glory to a strange nation.
Read on.
They burnt the chosen city of the sanctuary.
That's the Babylonians. They burnt Jerusalem. This is what Jeremiah was warning would happen. Read.
And made the streets desolate, according to the prophecy of Jeremiah.
According to the prophecy of Jeremiah. Read.
For they entreated him evil, who nevertheless was a prophet, sanctified in his mother's womb, that he might root out and afflict and destroy, and that he might build up also and plant.
Right, so they did all of this to a prophet of God. Now, Jeremiah was just one example. Shout out to Jeremiah from Nigeria, all praises. But, hey, Jeremiah was just one prophet. What he had to endure all of that. Guess what? I got other examples. But I'm going to have to speed it up a little bit. But this is a mighty example, right? So go to 1 Maccabeus chapter 3. So now, the city, Babylon, it was destroyed at that time. And all praise to the Most High. You had it to where you had the mighty prophets, Nehemiah, Ezra, during their time period, Zerubbabel, Joshua the high priest, as well as all those various leaders at that time during the Persian, after the Persian captivity where we was exiled by Cyrus to have liberty to go back to build Jerusalem. So now Jerusalem is built. Here we are. We're in a Greek captivity. They understand that our power is the temple. So what do? They go to the temple. They desecrate the temple. They put all type of abominable things in it. This is what the Greeks did to us in captivity. So we're going to get, now that we've got the context of that, these are going to be new leaders that's going to step up to the equation. Matter of fact, we read them before the class started in Daniel chapter 11. We're going to read a little bit about that. All right, so 1 Maccabees 3 and 42.
1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 42. Now when Judas and his brethren saw that miseries were multiplied, and that the forces did encamp themselves in their borders, for they knew how the king had given commandment to destroy the people and utterly abolish them.
So now, they saw the conditions and the miseries that was going on with our people, and how after the heathen gave commandment for the counsel of what they did to try to Hellenize us, you had leaders that saw this. Just like Jeremiah, just like Christ, they was moved with compassion. Watch how the mind frame of these leaders start to be fixated on resolving this conflict that's at hand. Read.
They said one to another, let us restore the decayed estate of our people.
Let us restore this destroyed state of our people. It's referring to the land, it's referring to the temple, and it's referring to the condition of our people. Because we were scattered after the Greeks came in. They started to invade the temple. They started to make us sacrifice swine flesh. The priests had no more courage to serve at the altar. So then they departed. And it started to become like a city of the heathens. So guess what? We was like sheep scattered astray. We didn't have a temple to go to. So they knew that we had to have a place for our people to be able to come to serve our God, to be able to build up unity again, to have a sanctuary, to be able to restore this destroyed state that our people was in. And these leaders made moves accordingly. Read.
And let us fight for our people.
Let us what?
Let us fight for our people and the sanctuary.
Read on.
Then was the congregation gathered together, that they might be ready for battle, and that they might pray and ask mercy and compassion.
Then was a congregation gathered together, that they might be ready for battle. Against who? Against the Greeks. And that they might pray and ask mercy and compassion. Now, in doing that, these mighty leaders knew we can't have nobody evil around us. Anybody that's evil separate from us, so we're going to do some damage to y'all. because we want the Lord to have mercy upon us and to have compassion upon us as we see the issue that's at hand. But in order for him to have favor, we got to all be right with God. Read.
Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary also was trodden down, and aliens kept the stronghold.
Aliens, heathens, not of our people, they kept the stronghold. Read.
The heathen had their habitation in that place, and joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe was the harp cease.
Right? So no piping, no ceasing, none of that happened. No enjoyment of serving our God was in that present place. Read on.
Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Mizpah over against Jerusalem. For in Mizpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes.
Jump down to verse 50.
Verse 50. Then cried they with a loud voice toward heaven, saying, What shall we do with these? And whither shall we carry them away? For thy sanctuary is trodden down and profane, and thy priests are in heaviness and brought low. And lo, the heathen are assembled together against us to destroy us. What things they imagine against us, thou knowest.
So now, verse 58. So this is where the people, they saw the condition. They were sad. They didn't know what to do. They rented their clothes in humility, and they started to pray, what are we going to do? And this is where God intervenes, where he says, they shall be helping with a little hope. When you read in Daniel chapter 11, they're going to be helping with a little hope. Now, a mighty leader is going to come on the scene and watch his mind towards the people. Verse 58.
Verse 58. And Judas said, Arm yourselves and be valiant men.
Arm yourselves, be valiant men. Read.
And see that ye be in readiness against the morning, that ye may fight with these nations that are assembled together against us to destroy us and our sanctuary.
Read.
For it is better for us to die in battle than to behold the calamities of our people and our sanctuary. Nevertheless, as the will of God is in heaven, so let him do.
So Judas, he says, for it is better for us to die in battle than to behold the calamities of our people in our sanctuary, and we don't do nothing about it. I'd rather die in battle. Judas was a mighty leader. I admire him a lot as well, because as we go to chapter 9 and we read verse 7, you will see that Judas wasn't just about talk. He really believed in what he was saying. He really understood that the lives of the people was dependent upon him. The sanctuary was dependent upon him. So then watch this. Read. Chapter 9, verse 7 through 10.
First Maccabeus, chapter 9 and verse 7. When Judas therefore saw that his host slipped away, and that the battle pressed upon him.
So now this is a great battle that Judas was in. And in this great battle, matter of fact, start at verse 5.
Verse 5. Now Judas.
Verse 6.
Verse 6. Who seeing the multitude of the other army to be so great were so afraid. Whereupon many conveyed themselves out of the host, insomuch as there abode of them no more but 800 men.
So Judas is about to get ready to go to war against another nation of people, who seeing the multitude of the other army to be so great, they was afraid. The men were afraid that was with Judah. As they became afraid, it says, whereupon many conveyed themselves out of the host, insomuch as abode of them no more but 800 men. So some men, they became afraid. They left from being amongst those that was ready for that battle. Read on.
When Judas therefore saw that his host slipped away.
So when Judas recognized that some people have abandoned ship, read.
And that the battle pressed upon him, he was sore troubled in mind.
So even Judas, he started to become sore troubled in mind. Read.
And much distress, for that he had no time to gather them together.
So he had no time to try to get the men and to gather them together to prepare for the war. Read.
Nevertheless, unto them that remain, he said.
Nevertheless, just like with Jeremiah, I'm telling you, man, I think there's something about keeping the commandments where that's the only way you're able to get this spirit. Because there's so much confidence and you knowing that this ain't it. even though my life may be lost here, this ain't it. So guess what? I'm going to persevere and I'm going to face this challenge on. And Judas has so much courage to do so. Read.
Let us arise and go up against our enemies, if peradventure we may be able to fight with them. But they disheartened him, saying, we shall never be able.
So the people that was amongst him still had that same spirit. We ain't going to be able to overcome them. Read.
Let us now rather save our lives.
So let us save our lives. Read.
And hereafter we will return with our brethren and fight against them, for we are but few. Then Judas said, God forbid that I should do this thing. And
God forbid that I should leave this battlefield. Read.
That I should do this thing and flee away from them. If our time be come, let us die manfully.
What?
Let us die manfully.
If our time be come, let us die manfully. Now, why is he saying that? Read on.
For our brethren, and let not strain our honor. And
So,
let not stain our honor.
Let us die for our brethren. That's what you call driven by love. He understood of this great peril that was before him. Everybody was afraid, even including himself. But even in that, he allowed for his love to conquer the situation to where he says, I'm going to fight regardless. Some of us, man, we got to get built. I got to get built up to that point. But that's why I admire my leaders, and that's why I admire Elijah, because Elijah was that prophet to help us understand that our mind frame got to be like the mind of our forefathers. We got to start to think like them, because our people truly do depend upon us. As we leave from our houses, from the sanctuary, from our job, and we go out there on these streets, and as we driving through, we see a destroyed nation. We see our people on drugs, lame, cut foot. We see our people worshiping a white Jesus. We see all type of stuff going out there. People getting hit with stones and fighting. Our people are corrupted and lost. But we got to understand that they depend upon us to be able to make things right. They need us. They need you. But you got to stand up to that commission. You got to be just like Judas Maccabeus. You got to just be like Jeremiah. You got to be like all these mighty men. You got to be like Elijah. You got to be like all of them, right? I'm only mentioning them because that's who we're reading about. So now, speaking about Judas, you got some examples of those that, because they didn't overcome sin, that sin was a plague to them to where it caused them to move in a selfish way to where they did the worst decision that they could ever do, and that's called betrayal. Go to John chapter 12, verse 1.
Book of John, chapter 12 and verse 1. Then Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he had raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served. But Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him.
Right, so this is a few days before the death of Christ. They're having dinner together. Read.
Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment.
So this is a precept in Matthew chapter 26 that we read before closing out camp. We just have the perspective from John as opposed to Matthew. Now, dealing with this ointment that was poured upon his head, this was a very expensive ointment. And it was so powerful that the odor of it filled the house up. Very expensive ointment. Right, read.
Then said one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot.
So one of his disciples, Judas the Iscariot, read.
Simon's son, which should betray him.
Which should betray Christ, read.
Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence?
Why wasn't this ointment sold for 300 pence, read.
And given to the poor.
So now Judas, as he smells this strong odor, aroma, he realizes that Mary is using this very expensive oil and pouring it on Christ's head. And he immediately thought to say out loud, why aren't you taking this ointment and using this for a better purpose. Like the poor, they can use this, and you just wasting all their ointment. Watch this, read.
This he said, not that he cared for the poor.
So Judas said that, but he didn't say that because he cared for the poor.
But because he was a thief.
Because he was a what?
Because he was a thief.
So he didn't say it because he cared for the poor, but he had an internal issue with stealing. He was a thief, read.
And had the bag.
And he had the bag, meaning that he was the treasurer holder. He was the one that was to maintain the finances that was being collected by the people, read.
And bear what was put therein.
And every so often he would bear what was put in it, meaning that he would help himself to those finances. So he had an interior motive. He told Jesus and all the 12, why are you wasting this ointment? It could be sold for much. And he said it for the poor, but that wasn't really it. The internal reasoning is because it was going to benefit him, that if he would have sold the oil, that he could have profited from that. He could have got better money from it. That was his mind frame. So Judas, he had a covetous spirit.
The prophets move. From city streets to distant lands, the message is the same. Israel must rise. Through every quest, every journey, the truth spreads. No border can contain it. No distance can silence it. Our nation lives in every moment. In joy, we celebrate marriages. In sorrow, we honor our dead. On the Sabbath, we gather as one. Families rejoicing together, bound by the commandments of God. Yet are we tried. From the stones in Kenya to the hatred in Montana, we endure as a soldier of the Lord. And still, the mission expands. On the airwaves, on the screens, in every nation under heaven, Israel's voice is heard. We build our communities. We raise our children in royalty. We restore what was broken. We clean what was defiled. We show the world who we are. This is Israel united in Christ. Nation in motion. Nation endures.